2022 went by so fast because we're down to the final Financial Fridays for the year. Of course, we're appreciative of your support and we're looking forward to next year, sharing some more good vibes and helping you to sort out your finances. Welcome to Financial Fridays. Today, it's all about your money, what you're planning to do with it for the holiday seasons, and how we can help you to get things going for 2023. I'm your host, Shaquille, Communications and Change Management Officer, and I'm joined by Stephanie Roberts, who is a customer service representative here at VM. Now, Stephanie is the expert, and she'll be dropping all the nuggets of wisdom on how you can get your finances right this season and next year. Don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss out on anything that we have to share with you today. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Financial Fridays. Now we're in the season where there seems to be this magnetic pull on our finances with all the deals of the period. But of course, there are ways you can swerve around the financial woes of the period, and that is exactly why my guest with me here today is Stephanie Roberts. And Stephanie is going to tell us all about how we can get our finances in order for 2023 and spend wisely for the holiday season. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us today.
And thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here today.
All right, Stephanie, before we get into all the details, I just want you to share a little bit with me about yourself. What makes you the ideal person to tell us about what we want to talk about today?
Perfect question. So my name is Stephanie Roberts. I am a customer service representative at the VM Building Society, and I have been in that role for the past 3 years now. And as a customer service representative, we do the administrative stuff, maintaining accounts and opening accounts, but we also have to guide our customers along their financial journey, along that financial path. Because say someone comes in and they have some funds, they don't know what to do with it, they don't know where to go, they just know that, them say put your money in the bank. So they're here to put their money in the bank. Where do you go? What will give them the highest return? What is this money for? What are you saving towards? And the great thing about VM is that there's so many products and there's so many different units that they can be directed to for them to make the best use of that money. So that's really my role, is just to help persons along that path, help them to find the exact and the perfect place to put their monies so that it makes the most sense for them.
Great. Feeling a little confident. All right, Stephanie, so we want to talk about budgeting for the holiday season and getting your money right for 2023, right? A lot of persons talking about, because we get this early December pay, right? They said January feels a little long. And we see all of these trends on social media, the 5 months of January.
Yes.
All right, Stephanie, talk to us. How can we budget properly for the holiday season? Is it even worth budgeting?
It is definitely worth budgeting, and you are right. It is 5 weeks of January, but when you budget, it doesn't feel so burdensome. And the thing about a budget, because what a budget really is you telling your money where to go so that you don't have to wonder where it went. And that is something that people kind of, because you put pen to paper, you will, say, okay, I get my money and I'm going to put $2 here. I'm going to do this, but do you stick to it? And that's the thing about a budget. You have to stick to it. So when you create that budget, especially after you've gotten that early pay in December, and you write down, because it's the Christmas season, people are expected to have family time. We're eating a lot. We are, we're home, so probably the bills will be a little bit higher in January. We want to go out. We want to celebrate the new year. Right. Entertainment is a big bill on person's budget this Christmas. So, but if you decide that, from my $5 salary, I'm going to spend $2 this Christmas season. And no matter what happens, no matter who calls me, no matter what is going on, I'm going to stick within my budget. You have to be realistic.
You have to be deliberate.
You have to. And you have to know your personal finances. Like, you can't look on social media and see everybody with matching pajamas under their by their Christmas tree with a whole bunch of gifts. And you're like, oh my gosh, my one little tree with my one little present. I need to go and, turn up the thing, make it look better. I need to go and do that. You don't. You have to be realistic. You have to know yourself. You have to know that, all right, if I said I'm going to spend $2, I can't go to the supermarket, and because this look better than that, I get distracted. You have to focus, go down the aisles, just like put blinkers on and know that, look, I'm not going outside of that because in January, I can't eat crackers for the whole month.
Right.
I cannot do it. So we have to find a way to make it work for us.
All right, Stephanie, it's interesting that you spoke about being practical and realistic with your budget. Because the thing is, what if we had a budget, say January all the way down to November? Of course, there are adjustments that we're making in our December budget, right?
Yep.
Is it worth touching things like your savings? What are some of the areas we can look for to make adjustment towards?
All right, so to touch that first point, your savings. Now, remember, you would have already said, whenever you started saving, you already said, all right, I'm going to save towards my child's education. I'm going to save towards my home. I'm going to save towards a trip that I want to take. Not because it's Christmas and you want a nice big ham, you're going, dip into the savings, because you're literally going to be eating away that money, and you really don't need to, because at the end of the day, when your belly is full, you're going to get hungry again. At some point, you're going to have to buy more food. So spending on, of course, you're going to nourish your body. I'm not saying starve, but you're going to want to make sure that the monies that you set aside for saving, because life is going to go on after December. Those monies are still in place for you to still actualize and realize those goals that you had set. Right. You don't want, because of the Christmas season, you can't buy your house in 2023. I mean, that even sounds silly. Like, I can't afford my house because I spent my deposit on my Christmas dinner.
So
like,
being realistic should be at the forefront of every decision that you're making, despite the season.
Despite, for sure.
All right. One of my big questions, right? A lot of persons tend to get this bonus payout during the holiday seasons, and you think that, I have more room for more spendings. But as a financial expert, give us some advice. What can I do with my bonus this Christmas?
You see that bonus, it can be a gift and it can be a curse. And I say that because how it can be a gift is there's so many great things that extra money, and it is extra money, because remember, if you budgeted for $5 all month, throughout the year,
right,
not because you're getting $10 in December, it's now time to go and do and be more lavish and, get more. That's not the time to do it, because in getting that bonus, there are a couple of things. So let's talk about that. You can actually build your emergency fund. That's a huge,
and that is important.
That's a huge thing. And so many people are like, nobody's ever planning for an accident. Nobody's planning to get sick. Nobody's planning for that. But it's life.
Things,
right? It's life, and it happens. And when you have an emergency, you're going to do one of two things. You're going to put your hand in your pocket and say, here, pay for it. Or you're going to put your hand on your head and say, oh my gosh, what am I going to do, right? So you don't want to be the latter. You don't want to be that person. So when you get your little bonus and you put away that money, that rainy day money, and you say, if something should come up, thank God I had gotten this bonus, because now I can pay for that. Not only that, but let's say, there's a side hustle, something that you want to invest in, and all year long you've been saying, boy, I'm going to have no money for start. I can't do this, I can't do that. See the little money there, you get it.
Important.
Invest it, do something. And also, just regular investments. Come into VM Wealth, talk to one of our representatives, have them give you the expert knowledge and advice on how to invest that money, how to make that $10 become $20. And another thing that could be done is, let's say you want to go back to school. You had those studies that you want to invest in, and you didn't necessarily want to take a loan. There's the money to do it. So there are many things that can be done with that bonus, but sometimes it's just it becomes a curse when you just spend it on something that won't give you a return, like food. I'm sorry to be beating up on food all the time, but I know sometimes it's so hard when you've been putting things off maybe all year round, and it's December now, you want to treat yourself, you get extra money, you want probably buy this and buy that, but there's so many other things, and when you invest that money, you plant that seed, it becomes a tree tomorrow.
All right, guys, and it's always important to just seek some expert advice, as Stephanie mentioned. But just before we go any further, remember to share your comments or questions in the section below. We have some team members, competent, who are ready, waiting to respond to your questions. All right, Stephanie, we're heading into 2023.
Absolutely.
You hear the conversations a lot of the time talking about, recession and what the financial climate is going to look like. The predictions, they're out there in the space. We're hearing them. Can you give us some advice, or what are the experts saying about the financial climate for 2023?
All right, so 2023, which is fast approaching, we're basically about to say Happy New Year. the IMF put out their predictions to say that, hey, high inflation, there's going to be some high interest rates. China is still reeling from COVID-19. That is still going on. The Russian wars. There's so many things that are affecting right now the financial climate. And with that recession, there's a term called being recession proof. And what that really means is that you can withstand the pressure from the recession. So I like to liken it to like a hurricane. So when a hurricane is coming, we see the warning signs, we get the notation, hey, batten down, put food in your fridge, get your flashlight,
we're preparing.
So that when there's a storm, your roof no blow off, you're not at home with no food to eat, you're prepared, you're ready.
All right. I like how you spoke about the proofing, which means preparation is key.
Absolutely.
Give us some, solid advice. How can we prepare financially for 2023?
All right, so for 2023, starting that is now, like right now. I think people think that we have time, or I'll wait till next year. But when you're if you can put away that money from right now, then you're able to build on that going into the new year, so that whenever anything should happen, we spoke about the emergency fund earlier. And that is always going to be a key thing to go back to, because when you have that in place, then you're able to go to it if there's something that should happen, if you lose your job, not to mention other investments and other accounts, that you can have those money stashed away, so that should anything happen, you are okay. You have a little savings that you can live on until you're able to get back into a job or get back into whatever may have thrown you off the path.
Is there an ideal percentage from a paycheck that I'm looking towards, this is my saving, this is my emergency fund, this is what I'm putting aside for my 2023?
All right, so there are many different things that people would conceptualize as it relates to how to put aside money, but I've met upon this 80-10-10, where you spend 80%, 10% goes to your tithe and your tithes, and 10% goes to your savings. So that 10%, so if I make $10, I spend the 8 on my bills and my food and so on, and then $1 would go to the saving, and I put away that 1/10 as well.
All right, what about those? One of the things I realized that we didn't speak about, you have a lot of persons, they have large families, we're into all of these festivities. Yes. The spendings, the cuts, they are going to come. How do we deal with things like those?
Cutting your expenses?
Cutting the savings, going towards the spendings. How do we deal with events like those?
Well, the thing is, but you don't necessarily have to cut so drastically back on your savings. Why not cut back on your expenses? Because that was the bigger...
The expenses that you would categorize as being unnecessary.
Right, because most of the time, there are things that we can kind of squeeze a little bit more, maybe just a little toops more, we can squeeze it. But people are more inclined to say, but this money, I just putting it away, let me just, go to that. But if you're really diligent, I remember we spoke to that focus, then you're able to say, you know what, I'm gonna still put away those savings, because remember, we still have those goals that we want to achieve. So putting away that and instead making better use of that 80% of our budget would allow us to do that.
All right, good. It's a key point. You don't necessarily need to dip into your savings. You don't need to do an excessive cut, right? That's something key. All right, so we heard about that, but just a few more tips before we close off. So Stephanie spoke about setting up your emergency fund, which is important, especially as we head into the new year. And we're still unraveling from a lot of the effects of the pandemic, the financial effects. All right, just some other key important things. You need to check on your retirement contribution. You need to reassess your investment goals. Look at low-cost stocks and bonds, things that you can buy into. These are opportunities. And consider setting up a meeting with your financial advisor if you need further advice. That's one of the things you spoke about, Stephanie.
Yes. And the great thing is with the VM group, there's so many different units. So persons may think, okay, I need to go to the building society, but maybe you're looking for VM Wealth. Maybe there's so many options and so many great advice out there to do with your money, and it's out there, and we're willing and ready and able to and capable to give that advice as well.
All right, Stephanie, it has truly been a fruitful and eventful conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me as well, Shaquille.
Thank you. All right, guys, this has been another Financial Fridayz, our final episode for 2022. They say all good things must come to an end, but we also believe all good things must continue.
Absolutely.
And that is why we will be here next year waiting for you with more financial advice to better your today, tomorrow, and the days after that. For more information on how to get financially secured for 2023, reach out to us at 876-754-VMBS. That's 876-754-8627. Or you can send us an email at manager@myvmgroup.com.